So welcome everyone, and thank you so much for joining us to the chat with Andrew Szeto as part of our AC Summer Market today. My name is Sam from the events team here at Algonquin College, and I will be hosting this event. In this event, we will be hearing from Andrew Szeto on creating woodworking and skateboarding, and we are so happy to have you join us for this. So before we get started, I'm just going to go over a few housekeeping notes. Please be sure to tune into our other live virtual AC Summer Market events happening throughout the day today that you can find through our events calendar, which we'll share in the chat now. There really is an event or a workshop for everyone. Today's event is equipped with closed captioning if you need it. To turn on closed captioning, please press the CC icon along the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. We welcome you to engage with Andrew after his presentation during the Q&A portion of this event by raising your hand to ask a question out loud or by typing your question in the chat, and I'll read it out loud from there. And this event is being recorded, and the recording will be available to watch on the AC Hub On Demand website in the coming days. We'll share a link to the AC Hub On Demand website in the chat now. All right, everyone, so I now have the pleasure of introducing you to the wonderful Andrew Szeto. Andrew is a skateboarder, builder, and maker out of Ottawa and Wakefield, Quebec. For the last 10 years, Andrew has been building and making things from clothing to woodworking projects, and he primarily makes things out of recycled skateboards, which is so cool. Andrew is also a successful YouTuber with over 25,000 subscribers on his channel, where he posts videos of his creations. One of his most popular videos was the time lapse of building an A-frame cabin from scratch, which garnered 2.3 million views. Andrew is very talented, and we are so lucky to have him with us today. We'll share his social media handles and his YouTube channel link in the chat if you wish to connect with him. All right, guys, so I'm going to hand over the floor to Andrew now for his presentation. Take it away, Andrew. I think you're muted, Andrew.
Cool. I wasn't allowed to unmute myself there for a second, so sorry about that. It's all good now, though. So hi, everyone. Thanks for the introduction, Sam. That was really lovely. So yeah. Tim, if we could put on the PowerPoint and stuff, it's just kind of like some visuals that'll basically accompany sort of what I'm going to talk about and stuff. So here's a quick video that the City of Ottawa Tourism put together on some of my work and stuff. As Sam mentioned, I'm a skateboarder, I'm a woodworker, and I'm also a photographer, videographer. That's my day job. I work for the Coast Guard doing that. But in the evenings and everything like that, the video just paused, but life pretty much looks like this, where I get to skateboard, make things out of recycled skateboards, and just work with my hands, because that was something that I really wanted to do and stuff. We'll see here. Is this video going to continue playing, or did it freeze there, Tim? Play slowly and stuff. But yeah, so so here's kind of like just a behind the scenes of what production and life kind of looks like effectively. You know, I'll kind of usually get a pretty good skate in after work. And then I'll start building things. This is all at the Ottawa City Woodshop. I know we have some representation in the crowd, actually. I think Marty Thornell and Rebecca Volk are in the crowd, and they're from there. So this footage was actually captured there, that tourism captured, of me building paddles and stuff. And yeah, so this is sort of just what the process looks like. And of course, I take my creations, try and bring them out into the water. My big thing is trying to make functional art. And so I love just, you know, the idea of being able to use something that I create and putting the skateboards to use in another way, because otherwise they end up in a landfill. So yeah, that's just kind of me in a nutshell. And yeah, we can pretty much pop over to the next slide. I don't think it's a video, so it won't have too many issues, hopefully. Getting stoked the buds. Sweet. Yeah. So as Sam mentioned, some of my social media, I usually post to Instagram every day, every other day, certainly post all sorts of stories. I also, you know, so a lot of what I do too is social media for different companies and brands and stuff. And I'll kind of get into that a little further on. But yeah, so there's my social media, like at Szeto is like me on Instagram and Andrew Szeto on YouTube. And I just kind of like put out content. A big thing is, of course, getting the world to kind of know who you are and putting your work sort of out there. So, you know, whether it's work in progress, finished works, trying to create, these days it's trying to create reels. Instagram reels is the way, the ticket kind of, and same with TikTok, and apparently YouTube shorts that's coming. Putting those that kind of messaging out there to the world, and, you know, hopefully having some organic reach and stuff. That's how folks really see your work. And that's how I've been able to successfully sell my work fairly regularly. I don't even really put it on my website. I just honestly sell through DMs these days, and I'm more than busy enough, fortunately. So yeah, this is my Instagram, and those are some of my paddles. They're my mainstays. I make about 3 a week, and I sell them for about $385. For folks who are, you know, maybe future entrepreneurs and stuff like that, kind of looking at margins and stuff. They take about 3 hours each to make. Yeah, the costs going into them are about $30 per paddle. And so, you know, the kind of resources I put into that. I'm also into making furniture. What you'll see down there below is a credenza I've been working on to raffle with Vans footwear. They kind of sponsor me and give me shoes and stuff. And yeah, that particular credenza is sort of a style and a pattern that I'm loving, and I'm trying to make a lot more of and stuff. And so, yeah, that's a little bit about me there. If we can go to the next slide. Sweet, and this is a video. We'll see how this goes. As I mentioned, you can click play there, Tim. So this is what my day job sort of looks like and consists of. This is just raw clips. Normally I'd edit them to look a lot more fancy and stuff, but I am the photographer and videographer for the Coast Guard. Oftentimes, so like 50% of my days are kind of, you know, put to work. I'll be put on some sort of a mission with the Coast Guard. I'll be dropped off somewhere and told, you have a helicopter, you have access to this crew, and it's just documenting the life of the Coast Guard and what we do. Our services, search and rescue, environmental response, buoy tending, you name it. You know, I kind of get dropped off in the Arctic, on the West Coast a lot. I work out west a lot. Just my really good pals out there that requested my services. And also the East Coast, of course, I'm in Newfoundland quite a bit as well. So that's kind of a behind the scenes of like my my work life day to day. I've been fortunate enough to find a kind of strike a balance in which I kind of love my day job at the same time. Like there's certainly bureaucracy that I have to deal with, but for the government of Canada, I want to say that I have one of the cooler jobs, and I'm really fortunate to have niched myself into there. And yeah, just have a ton of fun working with our crews. I mean, a day like this on the water is just, honestly, it's absolutely incredible, right? Like everyone's generally got smiles from ear to ear. We're generally in training. I've been on a couple actual search and rescue calls, and obviously, you know, the cameras are kind of off depending on what kind of happens for those particular scenarios. But yeah, work life is kind of cool. And if we can pop over to the next slide. So yeah, so a lot of, honestly, everything that I do that you've obviously seen comes from my life in skateboarding. Skateboarding's been, you know, I moved to California in high school, and we were kind of driving by a skate shop, and, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing. I'm kind of an Asian kid who's got like a classic sort of Asian Canadian, Asian American background, in which my parents were just like, you better get A's. You better become an engineer, scientist, doctor, accountant, or something like that. And I, like, you know, I definitely was doing that, but at the side and, you know, kind of all throughout my life, I've also had skateboarding, which is like sort of my community outside of, you know, my family. And it's my family outside of my family. And so, yeah, I moved to California for all of high school, and pretty much the skateboarding community, you know, I tried really hard to learn skateboarding, and then I kind of got brought into the community, had a bunch of sponsors and stuff. And yeah, I just, like, you know, most of my life is all through the successes and failures of trying to learn skateboard tricks. So on the left there, you'll see it's like a checkout that I had when I was 23. This is over a decade ago. But yeah, it's like, you know, I had a couple sponsors like Raised by Wolves Clothing, which is run by an Algonquin alumni. Adidas, I was sponsored by Adidas for 5 years, getting shoes from them. And then, yeah, I had a skateboard company, and yeah, on deck. And so that's a trick that I landed over 10 years ago. And on the right-hand side, it's actually a video Tim, you want to play that? It's so like after about a decade, the video on the right hand side there, I don't know if you can play that separately there. Yeah. So this is like my journey to like trying to relearn that trick after over a decade of having landed it and stuff. And so, yeah, I don't know, I still try and skate every day, and I still try and certainly challenge myself, and I slam hard every day. And, you know, it's kind of like picking yourself back up through the failures and just trying to overcome them and stuff. And, you know, you got Chen Li, little Street Fighter in there. And so, yeah, that's my background. If we can go to the next slide. So everything really, honestly, is born from skateboarding. It's my love. But that said, Sam, as Sam has mentioned, I've been sort of tinkering with this stuff for 10 years. I've really been woodworking for 5 years. But for the 10-year period that I've done this brand called Maru The Circle brand, which you'll see is like my email and stuff, it actually started off after my master's. I completed my master's in environmental engineering, in which I started, you know, sort of engineering at the Coast Guard. But at the same time, I knew I definitely wanted to flex sort of my creative muscles and you know, kind of stay creative and stuff. And so it's really been a 10-year journey of trying to find what I've been, you know, what I'm trying to do. And I'm at a really happy and great spot now that I think will continue to evolve and stuff, right? But I want to say about 10 years ago, I started it actually as a clothing company. As I mentioned earlier there, I was actually sponsored by Raised by Wolves Clothing. My good pal, Callum Green, who's an alumni out of the graphic design program at Algonquin, him and I got kind of talking about, you know, kind of doing some clothing in sort of the skateboard world, but kind of aimed maybe more toward my niche of photographers, videographers, and kind of telling those stories and artists and stuff behind skateboarding. And so there I born a clothing company called Maru. These are some of the jackets we've made. And these were actually made out of Knoxville, Tennessee. So it was super fun. I actually like drove out there, met the folks, and yeah, kind of created that particular project. Now I'm talking about successes and failures. I want to call it, this was kind of a success, but like generally speaking, the whole concept of doing a clothing collection for me, like, you know, obviously it's successful for a lot of folks. But for me, running a clothing company, was quite the challenge. Like I loved it. I didn't have the graphic design background myself, so I felt that was kind of a hindrance. But going into a collection like this, so to make a set of jackets like this costs about $10,000 American for the minimum quantity. To do that season after season I was finding to be quite taxing. In terms of the skills that I was kind of maybe coming up with, which was like, you know, really just like, you know, do I like this style of cut of things and, you know, small, light graphic design on things. I just, you know, it was still, a lot of it was very behind a computer, and I didn't personally, you know, resonate with that a ton. So, you know, to have these heavy upfront costs of like $10,000 for one piece of garment per collection, and then, you know, if it doesn't sell, which, you know, sometimes things don't sell 100%, and you're kind of creating wastes and stuff, and to not necessarily do a ton with my hands, I just didn't really love that. And over time, I evolved out of that. I'm really happy to have tried it. And then when I'm going into having to build a piece of garment or something like that, I know I have that background, and I certainly know manufacturing. But, you know, today I would call, I don't really, you know, kind of make clothing so much anymore. And I would kind of call that, you know, a failure, but a success in that I learned a ton. And then I've kind of evolved into knowing that I want to do more with my hands. Yeah, this place called the Ottawa City Woodshop came up, and I was basically able to pop in there. Tim, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so from that, you know, kind of going to the wood shop, you saw the video up at the front there. I've really been able to develop a lot of different products, primarily, again, born from, you know, my love of skateboarding. But, you know, these are various pieces that I've made here. I can tell you that for every 10 successes, there's probably 1 or 2 failures along the way. And in a sense that skateboards they're just not, you know, made for this, obviously. I'm kind of repurposing what would be garbage. And sometimes things just blow up. You're gluing a whole bunch of things together, and sometimes they just fall apart. for forces that maybe, you know, are out of your control and stuff, but, you know, certainly learning and getting better at things. So just from a scan from left to right here are some of these new candle holders that I've come up with and I've been making. I've sold a few sets of them now. They take me about 2 nights worth of work, and yeah, I flip them for about $240 for a set. So super fun. You know, a ton of stuff with the lathe. We have like things like pens that I make down below. I've made a baseball bat. That's my dad holding my baseball bat. I don't know if he looks like me or not. You can comment in the chat of whether you think he does or not. I'm not really sure. Sometimes people tell me I look like him, but yeah. And then I've made like, you know, worked on coffee machines and stuff. That's an espresso machine that I've made. And I've tried to level up, you know, I'm trying to constantly learn, constantly evolve. And so I've kind of built things going in this sort of style of work to building things like a canoe. So you'll see that right on the center up panel there. That's a canoe that I built featuring artwork from my pal, Drew Mosley, who's really cool. And so, yeah, I've been trying to build bigger and bigger. And then that's led to the project that Sam had mentioned, which was the A-frame cabin that I've built as well. Yeah, if we can go to the next slide, please. I should have made this video a bit bigger maybe, but this is actually a video. It's sort of like the behind the scenes of the YouTube video itself. So yeah, here's like my freakish viral success on YouTube, which is the building of my A-frame cabin. I think you can be able to play that there, Tim. Sweet. Yeah, so it just kind of gives you a feel for this particular video that's come out. So in building all my processes, you know, as mentioned at the top there, I really love documenting everything. I think telling the story is everything these days. And so whether it be YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, which are my main platforms, I just document everything. I don't even question it. I just set up a camera. I try and do things. I try and just document everything because, you know, you never know when something, you know, could go viral, could be successful, and your name and brand kind of gets out there more, hopefully in a good way. You know, I'm only trying to do content. I'm not trying to do clickbaity weird stuff. I'm really just trying to, you know, build my craft and then try and document and tell stories that way and stuff. So yeah, put this out. It didn't actually see a ton of success at the top for maybe the first month or so. And then overnight, I'm not sure, the algorithms kind of picked it up. And yeah, I mean, it's a micro success maybe compared to some like YouTubers who are pretty popular and stuff. But yeah, this particular video's got over 2 million views. It's paid the cabin over a few times. The build itself was about $10,000, and it's, you know, fortunately I've been able to pay it over a few times with this particular video actually through ad revenue. So that's been really sweet. And yeah, that's kind of that particular project. And I think the next slide is just the ending slide. But yeah, so that's like just sort of me in a nutshell. I'm just a dude who likes my job. I work hard, but beyond that, and that helps pay my bills and stuff. But beyond that, I feel like I'm ever trying to expand and grow some of my other stuff outside of the office job as well. I'm loving just building stuff all the time. And yeah, just kind of been able to hack a lifestyle that I'm happy with. I work a lot, but I like it because it's all stuff that I really enjoy and stuff. And so, yeah, that's kind of me in a nutshell. And yeah, questions regarding, I don't know, anything. I'm a pretty open book. I would love to hear or see anything from y'all. Oh, I see. Okay.
That's awesome, Andrew. Yeah, we have a couple questions.
Okay, cool. I didn't see the chat.
Your stuff is like, I just wanted to say your stuff is so gorgeous. Like those candle holders and the canoe is like what dreams are made of. Like I love being outdoors and like having a canoe, and that thing is like a piece of artwork. Like it's so beautiful. That's amazing. So you guys, if anyone has a question for Andrew, I've kept track of a couple questions that people posed to you in the chat, Andrew. So I'll just read those out. And if anyone wants to ask a question. So the first one that I've got is, I'm not sure who this was from, but they made a suggestion. They said, one suggestion for making animal toys and houses would be amazing. I have a cat and I wish I had a chance to build that for him, but no idea if it's applicable. Have you made anything for animals or like little dog houses or anything for cats or dogs or anything like that?
I was thinking about building a dog house, but my dog doesn't really use a doghouse, I don't think. Like
No.
he loves just being like at my side and stuff. I've kind of put him in
Yeah.
the room at the moment, but like he honestly will not leave my side. So it's kind of one of those where I know if I build it, he probably wouldn't use it necessarily because he's just at my side.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
that's
said
true.
though, that said though, Marty, who's I think in here and stuff too, we actually built a birdhouse together with some cedar, and
Oh, no way.
he runs a birdhouse building workshop at the Ottawa City Wood Shop.
Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
yeah, we actually made an A-frame birdhouse with skateboards on the front.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and
That's
just,
so sick. That's
yeah, super
awesome.
fun project. And I ended up selling that a while back. But I've been thinking about making more actually. So that's a great suggestion. I don't have cats myself. I might need to eventually because I think I have mice, but that's
That's awesome, Andrew. Thanks. That was a great suggestion. Okay, so from Yusuf, he said, what kind of work are you going to try next? Do you have any projects planned that you're working on?
Great question. I'm always trying something new. So I just actually finished up rug making, which was kind of super random,
Oh, that's
but
cool.
but it's something I loved kind of trying. And then like, it's just hard to find a really good rug sometimes, right? So yeah, I just went and kind of forayed into a different realm of things. But I did buy a kayak kit that I'll be starting to put
Ooh,
some of the kayak kit together. But I'm also, departing from the kit, and the whole top is going to be recycled skateboards. So you know what, kind of when you drone up, got to do a ton of drone work and stuff. When you drone up, you'll kind of like get this top down view and it'll all just be like skateboards on the water. So
that's so sick. That's
yeah.
awesome.
And then like cabin building is a huge niche. Like people love seeing construction of buildings and things like that. I've got 2 acres here on this new property that I've, that I live out of. And the plan is to build an interesting little cabin in the back. And yeah, I don't fully know what I'm trying to do just yet, but lumber prices are still high at the moment when it comes to construction lumber. So I'm kind of waiting for that to go down a bit. And then when that happens, have a plan. I have to do some landscaping, and then the plan is to build out another cabin as well.
That's awesome, Andrew. So I've got a question. Where do you get all your recycled skateboards from? Like
Yeah.
just when you break them and you just save them up to build things, or do you collect?
Oh, I mean, I don't break that many skateboards.
No.
No, I mean, these days, I would say at the pinnacle of my skateboarding, I was breaking maybe a board every 2 weeks.
Okay.
These days I will ride one skateboard for the whole year. I want to
Okay.
say, yeah, but that said, there's like skate shops plus hundreds, if not thousands of skateboarders in the city now. Top of the world, Burling skateboard shops that they'll knowingly they'll save them for me. And so when folks come in, they swap out their boards. They'll go, do you want this back? If you don't, we will donate it. If it's a good enough shape, there's actually a program called For Pivot's Sake. And that program will actually repurpose them, put new trucks or bearings on them, new trucks and wheels and bearings on them, and then, kind of give them to underserved communities for programming and stuff like that. But if they're in a rough enough shape, they come to me. I sand them down, I degrip them, and then I'll kind of build things with them. And there'll be, I want to say every month, there's probably like 20 to 30 boards easily that I'll be able to grab, which would otherwise all end up in the landfill. So I'm kind of stoked to be able to do something with them. We've also been able to, with the Burling skate shop, I've been able to go a little further in that they all do a bunch of shop decks, right? They'll sell, like 400 or 500 shop decks a year. And those particular boards now, we go into designing them together. It's all based on the colors of the maple plies in between. And so when they actually go into designing a board now, they'll consult me and go, hey, what kind of colors are you looking for in your work? And I'll actually be able to, kind of influence that design process. And it's sort of like a full cradle to cradle idea. And we're able to kind of do that with it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions for Andrew? If you do, you can pop it in the chat or you can raise your hand.
Yeah, Jennifer King, I see. Do you do any
Jennifer
custom
King
work?
does?
Yeah, custom work. So I do I do and I don't, just because I'm like mega slammed right now with things. Like it's basically, I'm backed up through the fall now with just orders for paddles, which are sort of my mainstay these days. Just because of that, just because I want to like really have like thousands of those out there and just kind of really, you know, someday just see them, who knows, in like a thrift store, or just like, I just love seeing them on people's walls and stuff, right? Or paddling, out paddling. I haven't really seen other people paddling them, but yeah, I just kind of really love making those right now. And I honestly just make those through DMs. So when folks DM me, if it's an exciting project, you know, I'll certainly consider it. And I want to try and make more. But at the same time, I'm also like, you know, very aware of just like the work-life balance that I need to strike as well. And so, you know, I don't try and over promise certainly for things. But that said, you know, shoot me a message. I'm always willing to chat it out and stuff. And yeah, certainly a lot of my work's custom and stuff.
That's awesome, Andrew. Thank you. We've got a question from Mina. So
Okay.
she asked, can we join your team? So I'm assuming she means like your work team. And do you have a work team, or is it just you? Or
Yeah.
like,
So that's a great question. I mean, one team that you can always join is certainly the Ottawa City Woodshop. It's such a fantastic place to get, you know, your hands dirty, to work with the tools and things like that. With regards to my team, I just work now out of my home. It's a super tiny workshop. And I don't know, I'm like very happy being like sort of a solopreneur and stuff. So I know that my dynamics sometimes working with folks and stuff, yeah, I'm just like, you know, I'm just kind of very happy doing what I do for now. So I don't actually have a team. It's just me and my dog, really. So, you know, I'm always, you know, I'm running workshops and stuff like that, hopefully in the future. And so if folks are kind of interested in working with me in that way, yeah, kind of more than happy to go about things that way. But yeah, kind of small, keep things small, keeping things, you know, authentic to me, is sort of my deal there. Thanks, Julia.
Okay, Andrew, before we wrap up, I've got one final question. What is your dog's name and what kind of dog?
Yeah, so it's Atlas. He's an Australian dog.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, like he's pretty awesome. He like literally never leaves my side, which is sort of like that breed. They're like super loyal and stuff. Now the other thing is that like they're kind of like a pain to bring up. Like most people that I know, like they bite everybody. Like they bite the crap out of everyone because they're like healers. They're blue healers, and like their whole deal was biting people. So yeah, they bite a lot of people. And so I had to give everyone up, but he's better now, and we love him.
That's awesome.
Let me see him before. He's in another room right now. I don't see him scratching right now. So unfortunately, no, I wish I could.
Is he on your Instagram? If people go over there, can they see pictures of him?
Okay. Oh yeah, he's kind of in throughout things all the time. He's just kind of cruises and stuff. He's pretty chill. He's awesome.
Okay, so be sure to check out Andrew's Instagram to see his dog Atlas. All right, everyone. So that's all the time we have for today. But I would like to say a big thank you to Andrew for sharing his insight and his knowledge with our college community today. It was such a pleasure hearing from you, Andrew. And thank you everyone for joining us today. It was so engaged in the chat, and we really appreciate that from you. Again, if you would like to check out Andrew's social media pages and YouTube channel, we'll link that in the chat now. And be sure to check out our other live virtual AC Summit Rocket events happening throughout the day today that you can find through our events calendar, which we'll share in the chat now. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks so much, Andrew.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.